Welcome to the future.
My name is Ade-Mabo. I am a mindset surgeon and an advocate for women. Fact: a man would apply for a job when he felt 60% competent for the role. A woman, on the other hand, will wait till we feel 100% qualified before we'd apply. A black or brown woman will wait till we feel 100% qualified for the role, but she would also wait to get validation from her friends, her family, her tribe, her boss, before she'd apply for the same role. Fact: at the current rate of economic progress, the global gender gap will take 108 years to close, and economic gender parity will take 202 years to accomplish. Question for you: if you're stuck in the middle of the road with a flat or burst tire, are you more likely to ask a man for help or women? You'd probably look for a built, sturdy man, right? If you enter the words CEO, CFO, CTO in the text box of your phone right now, or on Google, you get the image of a white man. Now, this is not to say that there aren't any C-level executives that are female, but I don't know about you. I certainly do not have 102 years or 108 years to wait around for the global gender gap to work itself out, and to birth my unborn daughters in a world where they're afraid to ask for what they want, simply because they're women, black women to be precise. Now, that is scary. See, I have a super smart son, Darasimi. Darasimi has outstanding mathematical skills and a photographic memory. He's known his 13 times stable and beyond since he was only 3 years of age. I appreciate the gift, and I encourage him. However, the other thing that Darasimi is really interested in is cooking. Dara absolutely loves to hang out in the kitchen with me. Oftentimes, I'll post videos about his reading, math, or cooking skills. And 99% of the responses I'll get back from friends and family would be, "Wow, go Dara, go," when it was about math. But when it was with him whisking an egg or grabbing me curry from the kitchen or the pantry, it'll be comments like this: "Wow, Ehi, are you forcing him to learn how to cook? Or he doesn't really need to be doing that." Sometimes I get the occasional nice comment like, "Ehi, you need a daughter soon." Of course I do, right? This automatic, involuntary, impulsive reflex is called a bias. A bias is a social stereotype that exists in the subconscious mind and affects our behavior. We all hold unconscious biases. For example, when you expect a woman to be the designated note-taker in a meeting, when you expect her to be the one who supplies the donuts and the coffee, when you expect her to be the one who brings in the home-baked cookies, this is an example of a bias. We all have unconscious beliefs that we hold. These are learned stereotypes. They're automatic, they're unintentional, and they're deeply ingrained in our subconscious. If we all hold automatic beliefs, it must then mean that all we're trying to do is organize our worlds, organize our social worlds by categorizing. in Nigeria, where I spent the first 17 years of my life, I was raised to believe and taught in an academic setting that women were to be seen before they're heard. And I carried on this belief to the next decade of my life. But I know I cannot be the only one with poor paradigms here. When you create an English name on your resume to boost your chances of getting an interview, when you wear your hair extensions long, blonde, and straight against your own personal desires, just to get a foot in the door and be more acceptable, you are a product of a society that is highly biased. And conforming becomes a survival mechanism. Let me be clear. Conforming sometimes becomes the only choice you are given. When I worked in corporate, Mondays were my absolute hardest days at work. I did not look forward to Mondays at all. I dreaded the inevitably hard questions that were to come. And there were questions such as this. Ehi, did you watch the game last night? Who's your favorite band? What do you think of player XYZ in this season? I hated these questions because they threw me in a panic mode. And I had to sit there and pretend that I knew or cared anything about hockey. Coping sometimes meant that I spent several nights watching highlights of the game before showing up at work on Monday mornings. This is my definition of conformity. But see, this is not even the worst kind of bias. The worst kind of bias is one that is taken against one's own self. It looks like this sometimes. I'm not mainstream. I'm lucky to even be here. I have little or no evidence that I'm meant to lead, supervise, direct, manage. I am not worthy and deserving of influence, affluence, or power. I know I cannot be the only one here who's had thoughts like this. So here's what we can do today. We can fight these beliefs internally by raising the image, narrative, and thoughts about ourselves. We can be confident in the skills and the value we bring to the table. We can use positive self-talk, affirmations, visualizations, changing the narratives and the stories we think and we carry about ourselves. So here's what I'm asking you to do today, right now. Stop discrediting yourself for the things you do so well, even if it's not very obvious. Start embodying your true, authentic self and start owning your story. You don't need to change your accent or manipulate yourself into someone that you're not just so you can be more acceptable. You never need to do that. Conformity. Conformity is a worst kind of bias. So, if you ever, like me, or have ever found yourself in a situation where you don't know how to ask for what you deserve, let's do this together today. Number one, be the martyr. Be willing to stick your head out for something you believe in. See, insisting on what you deserve may cause heads to roll and heads to turn and eyes to roll. But here's what I know for a fact. This is a necessary friction to have. And as long as you understand that, even if you don't get what you want in this very moment, it sets the pace for how you and others get to be treated, not just in this lifetime, for generations to come. Number 2, have the courage to be wrong. Oftentimes, we don't put up a hand for the promotion. We don't ask for the raise. We don't ask for the opportunities. We don't ask for the big clients and the big contracts. Because what if I'm wrong? How embarrassing will it be if I'm wrong? Here's the thing. At least if you're wrong, you can inch closer to more wins. Have the courage to be wrong. Choose courage over rejection. Risk the possibility that you can be wrong. Choose courage over fear. Number 3, raise your expectations. See, male MBAs received significantly higher salaries than female MBAs, primarily because they had higher expectations. No surprises there. Female MBAs, on the other hand, received significantly lower salaries than their male counterparts because we had lower expectations. Expectations drive behavior. Now, the systematically lower expectations has given us and brought us to where we are today. If we don't like the outcome, we must do something different. And in this case, raise your expectations. Number 4, fight and negotiate. See, since unconscious biases are often intuitive and instinctive, and it's triggered by our brain making assessments and judgments about people and situations, and it's influenced by our backgrounds, our personal characters, or environmental factors, you will not be handed what you want on a platter of gold. And what you do if you're not handed what you want on a platter of gold? What do you do? The problem with bias is conformity. See, we have just as much right to be here. We have just as much right to be here as the next white man. We can be powerful. We can rise up and take up spaces in our communities. We can be decision makers. We must learn to ask for the opportunities. We must learn to put ourselves in the rooms where we don't look like we obviously belong. We must be in the decision-making communities. We must make those impacts in politics, governance, because we have just as much right to be here. You know what would be powerful? If we all walked through those glass doors and shattered those glass ceilings. But if we did it with an awareness, if we did it with a conscious awareness that we're meant to be here, you know what would be courageous? If we took up spaces in places where we belong, even if we do not look like the obvious choice. Women, black women, brown women, we must rise up and take up space. See, in the cultural equation, assertiveness is greater than conformity. In the cultural equation, insisting is greater than waiting, than deference. To move forward as leaders, we must learn to drop the dishes, stir the waters, and not be afraid to shake things up. Thank you.